Good evening. So tonight I kind of want to talk about a subject that I kind of first heard about 2 years ago, and I decided to do a little more research into it. So over the years, there have been various studies completed to further understand what motivates a soldier when they are out in combat. While these studies showed various answers such as patriotism to their respective country or fighting for their flag, there was one answer that was pretty much consistent among most of the studies. One of the biggest motivations is a term called small unit cohesion. Now, the term small unit cohesion, it kind of sounds self-explanatory. Maybe some people, what does that mean? Well, according to Major Robert J. Riley of the U.S. Army, simply put, soldiers fight because of the other members of their small unit. James McPherson, a history professor at Princeton University and the author of a book called For the Cause and Comrades, Why Men Fought in the Civil War, he actually hinted at the idea of small unit cohesion in an interview he did in 2005. He's quoted to say, "There's a kind of bonding that takes place within military units, especially that when they face a common danger that motivates soldiers to fight. So because they don't want to let their buddies down. They don't want to lose face in the eyes of their buddies. If they run away, if they abandon their buddies, if they abandon their buddies, if they prove themselves to be a coward, they'll never be able to hold their heads up again." So one of the things that kind of stood out to me when I started researching this more is the type of relationships that soldiers had with one another, a type of bond that held each other accountable and showed trust, the type of bond where one soldier didn't want to fail or come up short because he didn't want to let not only himself down, but he didn't want to let his fellow soldier down. In our lives, we have different types of bonds and relationships that are different. Some people we have strong relationships with. These are people we, per se, completely trust. Other people we may have good relationships with, but we don't trust them in certain situations. So like, how often do we have projects with our respective jobs or in our respective classes where maybe we work with somebody, maybe we wouldn't trust them to, hey, watch my dog over the weekend or something like that, but you trust them enough to get their, do their part of the project, to essentially do their job. Then there are people we have no trust in all whatsoever. And now, this is not to say that, those people are necessarily bad people. That's just kind of a reality of the situation. If I were to ask everybody here tonight, what type of bond do you have with God, what would your answer be? Do you completely trust God? Do you believe you can trust Him most of the time, but not necessarily all the time? Or do you just not trust Him at all? Tonight, I would like to discuss 3 main points, or essentially 3 reasons why God can be trusted and why we should trust Him. First, God does not put us in a position we are not capable of handling. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, again, that's 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Now, during my research, I actually found an interesting article I kind of think applies to this main point. According to Amy Reese Anderson of Forbes.com, she actually conducted a study, and this may seem pretty obvious. It's been proven that businesses who put the right people in the right jobs in the right positions, those companies are the most successful. So, that's kind of self-explanatory, but essentially what this is telling you is that what good does it do for somebody to put another person in a position they're not capable of handling? What good does it do the company? What good does it do them? No matter the circumstances we face, we would not face them if God did not believe we were more than capable of handling them. My second main point is God knows exactly what we need. Matthew chapter 6, verse 31 through 32. Again, that's Matthew chapter 6, verse 31 through 32. It says, "Therefore do not be anxious, saying, 'What shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we wear?' For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all." How many of us in our personal lives have people we admire, but when we need them for the smallest things, they're not necessarily there for us. They're not the most reliable. From my personal experience, the people I trust the most are the people who know what I need and how they're always there for me. They're with me through thick and thin. God is just like that friend you can truly trust. He will provide for you what you need. These verses I just read assure us that God knows what we need and He will provide for us over the long run. And finally, my final main point is God is the truth. John chapter 14, I didn't see the 1 in front of the 4 there. John chapter 14, verses 6 through 7 says, Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. The people who you can truly trust are those who are the most truthful to you, no matter what it is, both good and bad. Often in life, there are those people that they just want people to like them, so they'll just say whatever they can to get you to like them. These individuals can't be trusted no matter the situation. God through Jesus is the truth. It is that simple. We cannot have full trust in God unless we have full trust in Jesus. So just to kind of wrap up my thoughts here tonight, we need to have a similar relationship with God, if not better than what soldiers have with one another. An English writer and poet named G.K. Chesterton was quoted to say, "The true soldier does not fight because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him." As Christians, what is the love that is behind us? Is it God's love that's behind us? Do we trust him enough to allow him to take control of our lives? How often do we look at people in our life and say, when I needed them the most, they did what they could to be there for me. They did their very best. It wasn't perfect, and maybe they didn't do exactly what I wanted them to, but they were there for me. God is that someone that is there for us when we need him the most. So if you would like to be baptized, or if you need the prayers of the church, please come forward as we stand and sing.